Welcome to the Global Wellness HQ family of podcasts. We are your international headquarters for resources and ideas and insight in relation to the 9 elements of holistic wellness. Join us as we interview local and international wellness experts and learn how you can implement and improve one element or dimension of wellness at a time. Our experts will share their practical tips on wellness in one of these core areas: emotional, intellectual, occupational, physical, environmental, financial, spiritual, social, or habitual. We created our family of podcasts as a resource for anyone who is looking to integrate the 9 elements of holistic wellness into their daily lives. Welcome to the show. The Global Wellness HQ family of podcasts is proudly sponsored by the Global Wellness HQ community. It's an online membership group where we meet, we share ideas, we share insights, and we all work together and help one another discover our own personal wellness journeys. If you'd like to join us, you can easily click the link below or scan the QR code, and we love hearing your stories. So we hope to see you in the community. Welcome, everyone. I'm really excited. Today I have a new friend, Blondina Polazzo. Blondina, welcome to the show. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. My name again is Blondina Polazzo. A little bit different. If you know my name, then you know who I am. But because I've been in the fitness and nutrition industry for over 30 years now, I absolutely am passionate about helping people feel good and confident in their skin. And I have over 37 certifications. I went to school for nutrition in the 90s and then added on to it over the years. And then basically, yeah, that's who I am.
Love it. Now, you and I were talking about wellness, and one of the things I find fascinating is a lot of people think that wellness is separate buckets. But before we started recording, we were talking about the commonalities between fitness and financial, and your affinity for careers that start with F. Um, why don't you talk a little bit? Let's maybe talk a little bit about some of the habits that you see helping people in life in general, but then, we'll get into how that can apply to fitness or financial.
Well, I love the good F words. So I have been working in F words, wow, over 20 years. So I faith, my fitness, family, my field, which was my career choice, fun, friendships, finance. We could probably go on and on with all the F words, and they all they all need habits. Every single F word has habits. If you're not fulfilling something in your relationships, your family, your friendships, guess what? You probably don't have great relationships. So I love the good F word, and I like to keep them in specific categories. But it's interesting how they all kind of correlate. Even though my background's in fitness, I found that when people are struggling in their finances, it seems like their fitness or their health or their nutrition really starts to hinder, or they're struggling. I wouldn't say struggling in their field or their career, but maybe putting a bazillion hours in and there's not much balance at the other portions of their life because they don't have habits or balance or boundaries in that specific category that all the other areas tend to fall short.
I love it. And I think I'm going to keep the F theme. I'm going to say that's fantastic. Um, we're gonna have some fun today, so warning to everybody. If you're looking for something, a boring talk on finances, I don't think this is going to be the conversation. Call that a gut instinct, but the reality is, I think a lot of people tend to focus either on areas that they're really weak in, so they're always trying to get less bad at something, or they overcompensate and they focus only on one area they're good in to the exclusion of others. And I have a friend who is a self-confessed workaholic. When things in his life get difficult, he just retreats to the office. So I think having that balance is going to be a huge the reason we came out with holistic wellness was we realized that you could be really successful in your field, but maybe you're struggling in your family or in your, I don't know, an F word for community. So we'll come up with that one. But,
Well,
it's fellowship. There we go.
perfect. I love it. I'm adding it.
So we have faith, we have fun, we have fellowship, we have family. But the reality is, I'm not making light of it. It is a very real struggle for people. And I think one of the challenges is that I see is a lot of people use willpower, and willpower is a finite resource that gives out at the most inconvenient moment. Whereas if you have habits, and I'll have to find an F word for habits, but if you follow a path consistently, everything improves, and usually if you knock off one thing, everything, rising tides lift all ships.
Yes. I think even my F words, Jeff, are my habits. If you think about it, if I don't spend time in my faith first, when I don't put that first, and I put fitness second. A lot of people put family second. They want to take care of they love their family. I put fitness second because if I don't take care of myself, I cannot take care of my family. I cannot be excellent in my field. I cannot be a great friend to those that I need to be friends with. Personally, I probably am not going to be fun to hang out with because I didn't relieve some stress, getting a great workout, get my sweat on. So there's actually a habit order even in my efforts.
Well, and one of the things I find fun is to mingle and mix some of your habits. So, for example, a lot of people think that fitness has to be alone. You can combine fun and family, and you can go to a family fitness class together. Or I don't know if yoga and praying comes together, but I mean, well, actually, I do know because that's originally what it was you
Right,
know,
right.
before we turned it into a fitness craze, yoga was a way of expressing and connecting with a religion. So, there's no reason to say, okay, this bucket is being served first. But I love that you do have that priority. And, you ask any good Texan, I think they say it's God, football, family. That's kind of the mantra. And I've had a few people argue and say, well, actually I see it as God, family, football. But most of the stereotypes, it's always God, football, family. um, but again, why are those exclusive?
Exactly. F word for football too. Like, we Texas people, that's a big F word. So
Yep. Yeah. It's I have a friend who is trying to grow a business in Texas, and he wants to leave God, football, and family out of his messaging. And I'm like, everything I know about him as a human being, God, football, and family are important. So why would you leave your favorite topics off the table?
right. Yeah, you gotta add those in. You gotta be authentic to yourself.
And bring your whole self to the party. Now, I think I can guess a couple of answers, but what are you most
Sure.
passionate about in life? Why do you do what you do? What drives you and inspires you every day?
I think the reason I'm so passionate about fitness is stems from my sister. My sister was overweight. She's only 2 years older than me, and as a family, instead of focusing in on the fact that she needed to lose weight, we as a family joined a gym and we took fitness classes and worked out together, and it was a lot of fun. It's fun for the family. We took group fitness together, which was loud music, a step, or some other form of equipment. We all kind of looked goofy and wore crazy workout gear, but it was the fact that we did it as a family, and I'm passionate. I never want anyone to be so, I guess, feels ashamed that the fact that they look different or whatever for whatever reason. And so, but we all need to move. It makes us feel better. It can help our health. It can help our weight loss, all of that. But I love the fact that my dad, my mom and dad took it as a family event versus just, so that's why I'm passionate about it. I fell in love with it because it made our family stronger. It made my sister stronger. It made me crave something that I fell in love with at 14 years old. I was like, "Oh my gosh, why wouldn't everybody want to do this?" Like it was exciting to me, and I got excited that we went together as a family. So I think that's why the passion came also too. I Years later, I my sister fell in love with Tai Chi, and I used to make fun of her as her sister because I was like, "That's not fitness." And actually, it's really amazing for you. But I learned from the fact that I made fun of her, and I was just like, everybody's fitness is very different, whatever their movement is. And I learned that me trying to shove somebody in my little box of what I thought fitness was and what fun was in the fitness world is very different for every single person. So I became very passionate about just listening and helping them where they were. And just so they got a good, great workout that felt good, something that they can stay consistent with because they love to do it. Not, oh, I'm allergic to exercise, it's pain or
Yeah,
whatever they associate it with.
I have to do that. And there's a couple of beautiful gems in there. And, one is you mentioned meeting people where they are.
Right.
I stress that with my coaching clients all the time. With a slight twist, you need to meet yourself where you are. Because we always are comparing ourselves to a past version, or a better version, or another version. And the reality is, who you are this morning, that's who you are. Any plan that doesn't involve you right today as a starting point, you're doomed to fail. And I had friends that have, oh, that's it, I'm going to go run a marathon. It's like, but you don't run. Well, it doesn't matter, I'm going to run a marathon next week. No, you're not.
Right.
It's those baby steps. The other thing I'll share is, when I was a cocky teenage boy, I mocked my friend and priest because he did Tai Chi all day, every day. He was, that was his fitness. And I'm like, that's not fitness. You got to get in the gym, you got to lift weights. And he said, come at me. And I'm like, I don't want to hurt you. And he said, no, no, come at me. And next thing I know, I'm on my back across the room going, what the hell just happened? I can tell you for sure, Tai Chi is real.
It's real.
It's an actual martial art. It looks very peaceful, and don't let the fact that it's, you see grandparents in the park doing it. People who do Tai Chi can be very fit. So, but I love the message of greeting people where they are and joining them on a journey, including
Yes.
ourselves.
Yes, and I have learned so much from my clients, from those that I've had the privilege of being able to help in their journey. I have also become a fantastic coach because of them. I've learned how to work through struggles. I've learned that wow, I need to check myself as a coach because I'm not meeting them where they are and having to take a step back and over the years that's just been an amazing journey. I say this because another story that pops in my head was a neighbor of mine that I helped lose 125 pounds, and I kept asking her if she needed my help. I'm her next door neighbor. I have a gym in my basement. You can walk over with me all the time. And it wasn't until she said, I mean, it was years later, she says, I'm ready. And I literally, out of the blue, I go, ready for what? And she goes, I'm ready to lose weight. I'm ready to take my fitness serious. And I was like, okay. And she was consistent. It clicked in her brain. She knew where to find me, and she lost 125 pounds. That
And
was awesome.
again, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And I think that's one of the biggest problems I see in coaching in general, is the coach wants the result more than the client. And until somebody says, I need help, they're not ready. They're not, any changes you make are not going to be lasting, whether that's in the fitness or the financial world.
Right. I
Now,
believe that too.
let's switch gears now. Normally, I ask, what's the best business advice you've ever received? I'm going to change the question because it's my show. I can do that. I'm going to take out the caveat, the qualifier business. I'm going to say, what's the best life advice you've ever received? Because I feel like that's going to be more powerful for my listeners.
I think it kind of goes hand in hand with the whole business and in life. it's who you surround yourself with. Like who, when you're making a decision or how you're living your life or whatever the case may be, who you surround yourself with is extremely important. Let me explain that. So a lot of people go, oh, well, the closest five friends, that's how much income you're going to make. I don't know if I agree with that or that statement. I don't know if I even said it correctly, but I never, I didn't buy into it, I guess. I believe that you should surround yourself with people that have the utmost character and integrity that can challenge you with love. Meaning, if they see something that you need to change, they can say it to you in love and it could help you. There's a lot of people that have a lot of leaders, a lot of business owners, a lot of a lot of people, right? A lot of life, a lot of people in this life that have blinders on and they can't see their blind spots, right? They can't see them. And if you don't surround yourself with those that could challenge you to change, I think that you'll stay in that rut for a lot longer than what you wanted to stay in that rut. Or I call it kind of my board of directors.
And I think that's huge. And my takeaway from that, and you and I are a little bit too much alike, I think. But my takeaway is it's not. I think the exact quote is, "We become like who we spend our time with," or so. I don't know. It doesn't matter what the quote is, but the reality is, the people around us either lift us up or tear us down. And I think most people don't realize that they can choose who they're around. And sometimes there are lessons in very humble people who have very modest lives. Um,
Mhm.
but also there's I like the phrase steel sharpens steel. When you want to get really good at something in your life and it matters to you, you need to be around people who are better than you at that thing. Whereas if you're
Absolutely.
just looking to find happiness, um, that's a different group of people.
Yes. I think the whole um you say steel sharpens steel or iron sharpens iron. The whole thing is that being around with somebody or even reading a book, somebody that reading a book, like you're saying Atomic Habits, we were talking earlier, like he must be an expert in that field. I need to learn from him. I don't want to stop learning ever, and I never
Yeah.
want to feel like I've arrived. And I think that to me is the biggest or the best life advice I could give you is never stop learning to surround yourself with the right people.
And I think if you have that endless learning, I am curious about everything. I mean, yeah, there's nothing. My kids get annoyed because I can have a conversation with anyone about anything, and they're like, "Why do you care, Dad?" And I'm like, "I actually don't, but this person has something they want to teach me. I want to learn." And sometimes the lesson I've learned is I don't want to spend more time with that person. But the reality is good people have a funny way of teaching you things. And there are some people out there who are not necessarily what we would call good people. They still have a lesson to teach you if you want to learn the lesson. And
Absolutely.
I approach life with curiosity because I learn a lot of really random things, and it makes life fun.
I agree. I I love people. I remember being excited to get on an airplane, Jeff, because I was excited I don't know if that person was excited to talk to me, but I was excited to figure out who I was going to sit by so that I could learn from them. And my husband wanted to sit by me. I'm like, no, we'll sit separately so we can find new friends and learn about them. And it's a fun game, I guess you would say.
I have that. I have my moments. So my flights are either leave me alone, I want to read a book, or if you want to talk about your life, I'm happy to listen. And um, very different flights for very different reasons. But um, it is amazing. If you listen to people, there's always a lesson, there's always a story. Um, you know, just little things. I go to my kid's school, drop them off. One of the other dads works on the trains. I can tell you how the brakes on a train work now. Didn't know how it worked. It's fascinating, but it doesn't make my life drastically different for having known it. I can now explain to my 10-year-old why trains are shorter in the winter than they are in the summer. There you go. So let's get to the practical. So this could be about anything, any element of wellness, but what are some tips? What are Blondina's top 3 tips to improve somebody's wellness journey? And for the record, I'm going to take your number one, which is drink more water. You can build on that, or you can add another one. But what are some three things people listening today can go away today and implement?
I do love the water. I think that's a great lifestyle tip. Very easy to implement, but I do take it to the next level. Drink 2 glasses of water in the morning before anything else. I think a lot of people jump to caffeine or coffee or whatever. Drink 2 glasses in the water. That's very doable. Something you can do every single day. But then it'll make you very aware from the beginning, and that's a very important tip to use. It's not just a Blondina tip. I think it's a huge tip in the wellness world. You'll probably hear it often. I think the other thing is I just posted an article for my clients to read was about movement in your life, like throughout your day, right? Not just in your life, throughout your day. So yeah, we might schedule a time to work out at the gym or at home or what have you, but what are we doing in between that? And even the differences of how many calories you burn from a sitting position to a standing position is actually pretty interesting stat there of how many more calories you burn, or just adding in more movement. I'm not talking about exercise, I'm talking about movement. Take the steps, basic things like that. Walk around. My daughter walks around the kitchen sometimes when she's listening to her podcast just to get her steps in when it's cold outside and she can't walk. I mean, there's just figure out how to put more movement in your day.
Love it.
I think
Love
that's
it.
I think the other one would be, and this is going to be, I mean, it's going to be different for everybody other than get up and drink 2 glasses of water first thing in the morning, just because I need you to drink more water throughout the day, is you need to work on your sleep habits because everybody has habits for the sleep. I'm not saying that they're serving you well. So, going to bed with your phone in your hand, probably not a good habit. Having a television in your bedroom, probably not a good habit. It's not going to serve you well. Those types of things of having a a habit of getting into a good sleep pattern so that you get the solid 7 to 8 hours of sleep, because that's going to keep you younger more than most things.
I love it. And I think sleep, that's a hot topic in our house because, my kids want to do things like, play video games, watch videos, and they get really annoyed because I shut everything down at 8 o'clock, and I give them some time to get ready to come down. And they're starting to notice that they go to sleep faster and they sleep better. But, that's still the, oh, I want to stay up later. No, you don't. That's, you got the rest of your life to be sleep deprived. As a kid, my job is to make you sleep. I love
Yeah,
it. Well,
I love that. I mean, if you teach them young too. I mean, I'm an early riser. I went to bed early, even as a teenager. I went to bed super early and got up early. It's just something that my mom taught me.
yeah. And honestly, it's the little habits that we repeat that build up what we are and what we will be in life. And,
Yeah.
I'm trying to teach my kids about habits and the term I use is sleep hygiene, but the reality is it's your sleep routine. And
Sure.
most people think that starts the minute your head hits the pillow, whenever it happens to hit the pillow. Um, but for me, I know my kids both respond very well to same bedtime, you know, same routine. And, it's funny because people kind of do it with infants, they make sure the infants have that routine, but then we forget it as their kids and just randomly, all of a sudden they're staying up too late, they're cranky. And it's like, this is all fixable stuff.
I think a lot of our habits are very fixable. A lot of the things in our life are very fixable.
Now, I'm going to ask two really hard questions. So, my listeners know where I'm going. Be prepared. First
Uh-oh.
question, you're the expert at being Blondina, not Jeff. So, is there anything I should have asked you? Sorry, while you're drinking, I make you laugh. Is there anything I should have asked you that my listeners are screaming, going, why didn't you ask this, Jeff? Is there anything I should have asked you that I didn't?
I think that your audience, just based on the fact that I've been in the industry for 30 years, I'll be 49 in 4 months. I think they might, if it's a women, mainly women audience, probably some men or a portion of both, they might want to ask about hormones. Here's why. I have found in my 30 years, my things change.
Yeah.
And it gets so I can sit here and tell you, drink your water, move more, sleep better. And you're like, look, I'm doing all that and things are just not adding up. I'm trying and they're not adding up. I think that's where the struggle comes in, specifically for women. Well, it started for me at 36. I thought I had some hormonal imbalance switches, like things were going on, and I paid attention. Luckily, I had great doctors that I could work with, but definitely at 40, like right around 40, things switched and I had to change things. So, yes, I still had the great habits of drinking my water, getting in all my movement. I had great sleep habits, but guess what? All of a sudden, my sleep started being disrupted for no reason other than my hormones switched. So I can say you have an amazing routine and you're doing that great, but all of a sudden you're waking up and you're drenched in sweat, or you're waking up because you have to pee, or whatever the case may be. Right. So I think that that is a subject, and probably for another day for a longer talk. I think that we have
That's
to.
a major talk, yes, because I will. Okay, I'm gonna ask you a favor. I would love to have you come back. We need to have that discussion because I think there's so many people. Number one, they ask the doctor, and the doctor's busy, and they say, "Well, it's just aging. Accept it." I think there needs to be more conversations about hormones and all of the changes that we accept as a given, when reality is, when you focus on the hormone problem, a lot of the other symptoms just vanish.
Correct. Yes, it is a it's a definitely a more in-depth conversation, and you have to. I mean, I wanted to be heard, and the doctors, couple of doctors I fired because they weren't hearing me. They were like, "Well, you need to, my sex drive went down. Well, you need to date your husband." I'm like, "I date him every week. I just want to have that desire back." And then, well, I put on 7 pounds. What's odd for a fitness I'm pretty. It was an
Yeah.
odd if I lost 7 pounds, gained 7 pounds. So I mentioned it, and they were like, "You need to go on Weight Watchers." I was like, "Did you look at my file? Like, did you look? Like, do you know
I'm
what I
gonna
do for a
stab you
living?"
with a paper clip right now. I'm getting this close.
I think I'm gonna leave right now. I think I'm gonna need to go and ask somebody else these questions. So, but it is definitely been a journey, and you do have to have the conversation because it is a journey, and you're dealing with a different level of stuff.
I interviewed somebody for the podcast. She's a patient care advocate. I feel like you two need to meet and collaborate because she was hilarious. But that's the thing; people accept, in our Canadian medical system, I think the doctors are now allowed 10 minutes per patient. Their job is to give you whatever drug you need to get you out of their office today, and if you're back tomorrow, well, I got another 10 minutes for you. But we, as the humans, the patients, we need to say, stop, I need this, let's diagnose, rather than just start throwing drugs at me and hope for the best.
Yes, you need longer than 10 minutes. That's for sure.
So my last hard question is, how can people get in touch with Blondina and learn more about you, and just really connect with a fabulous, fun friend? Hey, there we go.
I'm going to be your fabulous fun friend forever now. So my website is just blondinapalazzo.com. Super simple. My email is blondinafit@gmail.com. If you search for Blondina on social media, I'm probably one of three that comes up. So it's not too hard to find me.
Awesome. And I'll put your LinkedIn profile in the show notes as well, because I think most of the people watching this are going to connect through LinkedIn. Blondina, I just want to thank you for your time today. It was absolutely fantastic and definitely fun. So thank you for hanging out with me.
You're very welcome, Jeff. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to our show. We hope that you enjoyed this episode, and we invite you to either click the link below or scan the QR code to register and listen to other episodes of our podcast. Or if you think your business or you would be a great guest to be on our show, we're always looking for experts in one of the 9 elements of holistic wellness. We'd love to have you. You can either click the link below or you can scan the QR code and complete our speaker intake form. Thank you, and to your wellness.